So here's the thingy, and that is supposed to line up directly with that so that the thing is balanced properly, because that's the crankshaft. Of course, it does say that if you want to replace the rear main seal, you don't want to cover that up, but yeah, not so sure how we're going to pull that one off. And maybe we need to, don't know. That's a neat one. Maybe that's a tomorrow problem. Might have to take this thing off again when we've got it all cleaned up and everything, and put it down here to do this. This is one of these rear main seals. I've seen Beamer World guy do it. 2 down there and around here. So you pull all those off. And I don't know about these other ones, but almost certainly they've all got to come off, because that whole thing, I think, is the rear main seal. Anyway, these bolts we're not supposed to use because they're not supposed to be supported well enough. There's literally not any videos on YouTube that show somebody actually attached to one of these things. I know people have done it. Everybody on the Passat World thing have done it. But no one's simply capable of telling you how to do it, which is really weird. Okay, so let's see. I'm thinking, well, first of all, these are the transmission bolts, and this is the longest of the transmission bolts. And as you can see, it's too long. So I need to get as many as 4 of those that are that much, that's bottomed out too, so that much shorter than that. So I need to measure that gap and then subtract it from the length of this bolt, then go to the software store and try and find bolts that will fit the bill. I'm not keen on doing the way that other guy did, but it may be that with short ones, you know, maybe like that. He did it with 3, which I think is insane, but he kept saying it's not very heavy. He kept saying it's not very heavy. It's a 6-cylinder. I'm thinking maybe if that one goes up there and cranks over this way, and then there's another one that cranks sort of that way, this one here that way, and then a short one there, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to toy with it. I'm going to need bolts in any case, because these things are not going to work. Those aren't going to work. All right, so I took out my trusty, whatever the hell this thing is called, and I measured that gap, and it looks to be about 10 millimeters, which is about a centimeter if I do my metrics right. So what I do is I need to take that bolt out. It takes 10 millimeters off, and take a measurement. All right, so I did that bolt. Did the bolt, and I marked right there where the distance is, and it's at 3, right in between 3 and 1/8 and 3 3/16. All right, trip to the software store and then back, and we have an assortment of bolts. These are 12 millimeter by 90, which is too long, by the way. So my dude in the video used all this Mickey Mouse chunks of washers and nuts and stuff to do this. I went and looked, and I found these, which are fairly thick. I don't know how thick, but I got a number of those. Got a bunch of bolts and washers, basically, to be honest. And I think together they will build out the distance that I need. Assuming I have everything that I paid for, which I got 3 of these because that's a little bit extra. Because I measured them and it was just close. And I think I did. There we go. All right, so bottom, middle, top, and hopefully that'll do that. We'll take a look and see what happens. I don't know how this thing is going to work. Well, that's mocked up, and I have it lined up the way it should be with 3. And that's the unused one. Well, back up with 3. So I used this one, this one, this one, and I didn't use that one. There's nothing over here. There's nothing on this side that can be used. There's nothing down the bottom that can be used. So in other words, I can't somehow get that one, as much as I might like to. I can't get that one in there. There's nothing for it to attach to. So I think that's what we end up doing. But in the meantime, it's lunchtime, so I'm gonna go eat. So I've run into a bit of a snag. And the snag is that I don't think that putting that where it is right. I mean, just looking at it, I'm sure that most of the weight is at the bottom, but there's still a whole lot of stuff up at the top, including a couple of heads, which is going to be pretty heavy. And I don't want this sucker flipping on me. Now, I suppose it's possible that that bolts up and we put it in the stand and then lock it in place, take the rest of it off, and then that's going to be right once all the heads and stuff off. Which will then make it rotate funny once it is, but I don't want the sucker flipping. If I put that on there without taking the heads off, that means I can't move it. I have to do all of the work with it standing up. That bolt that runs through the middle should keep the engine upright, but that means you won't be able to turn it. There's not a freaking single picture of this engine on an engine stand on the entire internet. There is the one video from the guy that showed how to put that on there with 3, which I'm not keen on anyway, but he's got it bolted right there with the whole thing. But I don't know if he was turning the thing or not. I don't know what the hell the guy was doing. And he did it with 3, a real bodge job. Yeah, I don't know. The other thing that guy did, the one that does have it done, is he said he couldn't get the stand in between the legs of the thing. And I think he's probably right about that. When those things spread, I doubt it's going to fit. So he moved that out. Now, there's another guy that showed how to remove this, and it kind of showed him doing this. He wasn't clear on what he was doing. Actually, he did show what it was, but it was a Mercedes engine, so it's not even applicable. But his crane was out further than mine. I think that crane thing needs to go out a bit. I'm not sure exactly how I can do that, but it's too close to the back. I should have moved it out, meaning that's not far enough out. All right, well, job number 1, I just unbolted that. It's down because it was loose, and I've moved it 2 things so it's further out this way. I'm going to lift it up and then let it back down so that it's sitting out here better. Okay, further pondering. I have taken this off and redone it a few times, moved that, taken this off a few times and redone it. And no matter what I seem to do, the geometry of those arms seem to put it on that crankshaft. So it must be sort of designed that way, because I can't seem to make it go where it shouldn't be, which is odd. But anyway, I tried to move it up, but it really can't. That pipe here is in the way of it going any substantial distance higher. And the arms won't swing up. In other words, they'd have to be a lot shorter than they actually are. And yeah, I tried taking that one there off and replacing it with a short one, but it didn't work. And then I tried thinking about flipping it sideways, but that's even worse in terms of getting it up and down. So that's about the only way that can go, and there's nowhere to put that fourth leg. I got to thinking about this. I'm concerned about the weight on the top. Now, I guess what I could do is I could tighten this all up, put it in the stand, and then make sure that the little locking thing right there is in it, and that should keep it from flipping until I can take off the stuff, at which point it should be balanced. So flipping it over at that point shouldn't be a big deal. And then when doing that, I could always bring the crane in from the other side and hook it up, except until the heads are off, at which point there won't be anything to bolt to. Well, there might be. But I'm starting to think that that's about the only choice I have. I'm thinking of the guy from M539 Restorations. He's built a number of engines, and he's got a running joke where he puts stuff on an engine stand. It would be interesting to see if I can find a video of how he did it, because he takes them off and he puts the engine stand off and he doesn't take everything off. So his would have to be balanced as well. I think I might take a look and see if I can find anything. All right, so I watched a couple of videos. Of course, I couldn't find one where my guy puts one on an engine stand. I know he's done it before, but I found some other ones. And they all seem to put it like this. I think it won't flip if I put that in there, but I think the thing to do is probably put it in, take the weight off of it, like get it so that it's stable, put the weight on it, and then leave the crane attached, drop it down and see what it does, so that if it does want to flip, at least it's not going to fall down. And that would be maybe proof of concept. How am I going to get that thing in here? Anyway, I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I tightened them all down as best I could. I didn't want to do it too hard on the top bolts because I don't want to break any aluminum or anything, but they're, you know, as tight as I dare. And then I did the same thing with the other bolts. So I think it's moved that in. I think I'm going to try and test fit the stand. And then one guy mentioned lubricate the hell out of that, which I think is a good idea. So I got to move this thing around, make some room so that I can test the stand and see if it's going to fit. Because if it doesn't, I'll move that out one more peg, which ought to give me enough.